Today's class is on detection of urine sugar. You write down whatever I will tell you to write down. All these things need not be written. Only specific points which will be relevant for you and for examination purposes. Sugar, that is basically glucose. That presence of sugar in urine is done by Benedict test. That's why I have not written abnormal constituents of urine, because all the things we are not measuring today, only one parameter, that is sugar. It comes under the purview of chemical examination, abnormal constituent of urine examination. So this person, Benedict, devised the test, that's why its name is Benedict test. See, write down the composition, only name. Composition of Benedict reagent, write down. Composition of Benedict reagent, copper sulfate tetrahydrate or copper sulfate, simply write down. Sodium citrate and sodium carbonate. See why I have written this thing, there is a purpose, this weight. Earlier, there was no system of getting this thing commercially available, which are now available. We had to prepare. During our student life, even during my early part of professional career, we used to prepare this reagent. So we used to weigh, say, 173 grams of sodium citrate and 100 grams of sodium carbonate. And we used to put it in a big beaker or volumetric flask. Then we used to boil it. We used to stir it. And then copper sulfate, 73 grams, used to be dissolved in 100 ml of water. And then on to that solution, we used to stir and with constant gently. So 700 ml is there. So after everything has dissolved, we used to make it up to 1 liter in a volumetric flask. Then we used to keep it stored in a glass jar, because plastic materials were not available during that time. Now today we are having these commercially available reagents, which are available in bottles like 1 liter, this bottle, or it is just like a 5 liter jar. It is cost effective, so from there we take it, and then from this bottle, usually or directly from that bottle, this type of bottle, we discard it and distribute it. And this will be which you will be using. You will be using this bottle. So I am telling you everything here, so that in the next class, you will go directly into the laboratory and practice. So each and everything you try to understand, so that you yourself will be able to do without asking anybody. The purpose of telling that thing, this composition, is that this solution, at least 300 grams of materials are dissolved. So specific gravity of this solution is very high compared to water. And that is a purpose. So this comes as a spot, this bottle. It will be given what is this, maybe Benedict reagent will be written, or this blue color will be there. What is the reagent? Benedict reagent. Write down the composition. These three names are to be written. That is the reason why I have showed it. So now write down. Test procedure. This you will do. Take a 25 ml test tube. These tubes will be provided in a test tube rack. Okay. Take 25 ml glass tube. To that test tube, to that glass tube. I have written inadvertently. Add it or not to. It will be basically add 5 ml of Benedict reagent. You suck 5 ml of Benedict reagents using this pipette. Do not try to mouth pipette. Pipetting by mouth is not allowed, because reagent is made enter into. So you have to practice it. This is a high specific or dense solution. So you have to practice it, otherwise air will enter. If air enters, then you will not get the volume. Again you have to suck. Again you have to suck to the desired volume up to 5 ml. Now once you draw up to 5 ml, you dispense it. Dispense it here in the test tube. So 5 ml will be disposed and leave it or give it to your friends so that he can test it. Now after that, the urine sample will be given in this type of beaker, small beaker with a dropper. So here you just use it and 8 drops, 8 to 10 drops, 8 drops, write down 8 drops, or you can measure 0.5 ml of drops of urine and then you mix it. Now mixing will be a little bit difficult because this is a dense solution. This solution is having 300 grams of solute and that you have added to it. So you have to constantly shake it so that it will get mixed. It will get mixed. It will get mixed. Else what you can do, you can take a separate test tube if it is available. You simply very carefully put it down, mix it at least 2 times. Mixing means everything is not mixed properly. And that is the best thing which I prefer to do that thing. But if that is not there, then only you go on constantly shaking it, wait a little bit, then again I will shake. So 5 seconds at a 5 seconds interval, go on shaking. But no solution should come out from this test tube. Take a test tube holder. I think all of you have used it during your chemistry class. You have used it. So you hold it in this thing and tighten it. Do not tighten too much, otherwise it will break. It will cause injury to you, or the entire bottle simply will fall down. This test tube, it will break. And if it is an examination, you will not get any marks. Gradually heat the test tube containing the air. Gradually, why gradually? Because if you do not do it gradually, that solution is very thick. So from the top you try to heat it and simply shake it so that the hot solution gets mixed with the lower part of this thing. If you try to heat it from the lower end, the solution is very thick. So that will get warm up, it will try to come out on the top, and the top solution is cool. So there will be bumping. And that might cause injury on your face or on your friend's face. That is highly undesirable. So that's why this has to be moved very carefully. You have to practice it and you have to see whether somebody is there in front of this test tube, because this, if by chance bump, there is splashing of liquid, that ought not to be there. So heat to boiling for 2 minutes, that is a standard procedure. Or best thing is to put it in a boiling water bath for 3 minutes. 3 minutes may not be adequate, sometimes 5 minutes are required. Why 3 minutes? Because if you put it in a boiling water bath, this part is cold. It will take some amount of time to get the material heated inside. So if you put it directly in a flame, you are getting the direct heat. That is the reason why extra time is there. Now after that thing, you cool it. Keep this thing, allow it to cool down, and then observe the change of color. So there you are, just to it in the test tube. In the test tube, add 5 ml of Benedict reagent and then add 8 to 10 drops of urine and mix. Achha, just look down. See, you can do it by this method. If you do by using a Bunsen burner or a spirit lamp, again I am telling you that lower part will be heated. This lower part, again there is a chance of bumping. So that's why water bath can be used. So if glucose is present, it will produce a color depending on the concentration. So the solution of the color is blue. You can see the color of that tube is blue. This is also blue. It is matching. So if the color remains like this, then there is no sugar. Reducing sugar is not there. Now if it is small amount, it will produce greenish color. If the concentration is more, it will be more dark green. And then if it is still more, it will be something like orange and then to big red. The spectrum of colors you will see in the practical class. While you will be heating, you will see, observe the changes. If the sugar level is high, it will, in no time, it will move to this stage. But if it is somewhere here, you have to heat it for 2 long minutes, then at the end also you will see this type of thing. So that is a qualitative. Benedict test is called a qualitative test. It's not actually qualitative test. It is a semi-quantitative. Why I am telling? You see, in our laboratory earlier days, when the dipstick was not available, we used to collect the material from the patients, and we used to give numbers in the test tubes, which patient. We used to put it in the boiling water bath, and you can see the different shades of color. So then accordingly we used to report it. So again that picture, now you note down this one. So note down that if the color remains blue, that means there is no reducing sugar. If the color is green, you mark it as 1 plus. It will be about 100 to 300 milligram per deciliter. If it is yellow, then it is 2 plus, 300 to 1000. If it is brown, 1000 to 1500, and 4 plus is 1500 and above. Because above 1500%, because the entire reagent has been consumed. So even if the value is 2000 or 2500, the color will no longer change, but the entire reagent has been exhausted. There is no more reagent which can react with the excess amount of glucose or reducing substance present in the solution. Now I have written it semi-quantitative. Suppose if all of you have, I think in some part of your life got a test done, and you got a figure, exact figure, like blood glucose estimation or blood urea. What is the level of blood urea? You get 53, 23, 15, exact one figure. That means that is exact quantitation. What is the weight? It is 1.32 gram. That is exact. That is quantitation. Here we are having a rough idea, not exactly. That is the reason why it is called semi-quantitative. The figure can be somewhere between 300 to 1000. So it is not quantifying exactly. That is the reason Benedict test is called a semi-quantitative test. It's a qualitative test, but it is also a semi-quantitative test basically. So write down this principle. I have normally this part is told later. I am telling you so that you have understood what you will do. Now what is the principle? If I would have told principle in the first, then you had to imagine something like that. That imagination part is over. Now you match it with the principle. What we have done, we have heated it, heating. What is the solution? You can see the solution is alkaline. Is this part clear? So now again I am telling you this deliberately I have written. Copper sulfate is the main issue here. Copper is in cupric form. So in hot alkaline medium, you have seen, understood, note down. This principle you have to speak non-stop. What is the principle of Benedict test? In a single breath, you tell the entire thing. So the examiner will understand that he has or she has read completely. So at least that will make a good impression. But here if you try to make fumbling, cannot answer, then there is no excuse. And the red letter words are very important. You note down, don't forget to tell all the red colored letters. So in a hot alkaline medium, glucose, including all reducing sugar, because I have not written specifically, I have written sugar, not glucose. So basically all reducing sugars give this test positive. Glucose is also reducing sugar. So glucose, including all reducing sugars, produces enediol. I will tell you what is enediol. Sorry, I am having bronchial asthma today. Which is a strong reducing agent. It reduces cupric ions of copper sulfate to cuprous ions. Cuprous hydroxide is formed and then to cuprous oxide. The color of the blue solution, this blue solution changes from blue to green, yellow, and then to brick red with the increasing amount of glucose in urine. Is this part clear? Depending on the concentration, basically it will change from green to yellow, then to brick red, depending on the concentration of the glucose or reducing sugar in this thing. Why I have written with the increasing amount of glucose in urine. If you increase, then the color will change to from green to yellow, then to brick red. Is this part clear? Or you can write this thing in your own ways. Basically, it will depend on the concentration of reducing sugar. Okay. So now, what is enediol? These glucose structure have been told in our chemistry class. So there is a free aldehyde group only, and you see only one hydroxyl group is here. In enediol, there is 1, 2 enediol. There is 2 hydroxyl groups, and that is the reason why it has been named so. So this is a spontaneous conversion tautomerism. It can be converted into fructose also, but that is none of the business in here. I have just this part you try to understand. We have written sugar, not glucose, all reducing sugars. Sugar means here reducing sugars. It forms enediol, and enediol gets oxidized because it is reducing something. What it is reducing? It is reducing cupric ion of copper sulfate to cuprous ion to cuprous hydroxide, and then to cuprous oxide. Is it clear? So at part of oxidation is going, reduction is going on, so other part will be oxidation will be there. So again, this why I am telling this part. See, blood sugar, this diabetes disease is known almost 1500 before Christ. Before Christ. And the disease was named as Madhumeha because they have observed the urine of the diabetic patient, and the ants used to get attracted to that urine, maybe because of the smell, because of the taste. So that was tested, that was named as Madhumeha. But unfortunately, there might be some persons who must have tested also urine. Normally we don't test. Only crazy persons do the research work and they become scientists. Since nobody has recorded, but Thomas Willis tested it and recorded it in a medical literature. That's why he got the credit. And today we are remembering because Thomas Willis first tested and it is reported in the medical literature. Thomas Willis described it in the year 1674. Willis is a very famous person. You will, in anatomy, you will know the circle of Willis is there in the brain. He also discovered that circle of that anatomical part. So documentation is very important. At the end of the class, after this formal class is over, I will tell you what is the importance of documentation. So that is the actual part, what you will do. Now I am telling you something more than the class. See, increased level to describe anything in the blood, the term is called MIA. If there is less hemoglobin, that is called anemia. If there is disease related to globin chain, that is called thalassemia. If the RBC number is increased, that is called polycythemia. Similarly, if the level of glucose in presence of the level of glucose in blood, that is called glycemia. Similarly, urea term is used if something is present in the urine. Glycosuria is a general term for any reducing sugar. So, if fructose is present in the urine, fructosuria, lactose is present in lactosuria, the presence of level of glucose in the urine, specifically glucose, that is called glucosuria. This is for orientation purpose. So, in 1674, Thomas Willis described it. Thought that it is tasting sweet, but what is that material, sweet material? So, he could not identify. In 1815, historical importance, Vogel tried and he found that some reducing sugars are present. But then Benedict, although born after sometime in 1884, after 100 years, he made that reagent, the Benedict reagent, and he made that study. And it took almost 250 years to use that reagent for the clinical practice. So, it's not a single day affair. Any investigation which is done, any research work which is done in the laboratory cannot be used from the next day extensively for the patients. Which was done in case of COVID. I will tell what was done in COVID at the end of the class. Okay. So, can you see, imagine that glucose is a very simple substance, but it took nearly 250 years time. So, glycosuria means basically presence of reducing sugar in urine, and Benedict test is a non-specific test. Now, write down all sugars having free aldehyde or free ketone group will give this test positive. All sugars. That is the essential criteria chemically. As I told you, qualitative test, there is a difference between qualitative test and quantitative. Qualitative means detection, and quantitative means exact quantification. But Benedict test is a semi-quantitative. It is qualitative and semi-quantitative. The most commonly used method today is, or nowadays for last 10 to 15 years or 20 years, urine glucose dipstick method. But this is a cumbersome procedure. You have to take the material, reagent, urine, boiling, it will take time. So, most easier, within a minute you will get the reading using dipstick. So, I told you all the sugars having free aldehyde, this part has been covered. So, all monosaccharides will have free aldehyde or free ketone group. So, they will give the Benedict test positive. Disaccharides, there are 3 disaccharides, one is maltose, one is lactose, and one is sucrose. Sucrose, although we commonly say sugar, that we take, sugar does not give positive test for Benedict. Sucrose is a non-reducing substance, and that you will see. That you will see in the laboratory. That sugar, although we call it sugar, but sugar itself gives a Benedict test negative. Why? That is a common question, and I will address to that question. And why the other two gives basically positive test to Benedict. So, glucose is the most common reducing sugar present in the urine in a clinical setting. That's why glucose is almost, it is like glucosuria. There might be lactosuria also, because if you test from a pregnant woman last trimester, I mean, patient is going to deliver the baby very soon. So, during that time, milk formation also takes place. That lactose in mother's blood will be available in the blood, and that will get excreted in the urine or during lactation. So, even if something positive in a female, first inquire whether the nursing mother or in the last trimester of pregnancy. Then lactosuria part is out. Otherwise, this is glucosuria. If Benedict test is positive, take it for granted that patient is having diabetes until proved otherwise. Otherwise means these all other reducing sugars are not present. Then you have to rule it out. Prima facie evidence that he is having diabetes. So if the galactose is present, so galactosuria, lactose, fructosuria, pentose, pentasuria, and this happens, you will read all those diseases. So here you see, this is monosaccharide glucose, this is aldose, this is ketose. So aldehyde is, free aldehyde is there, free ketone is there, number 2 position. So this will give positive test. Okay. So epimer, anomer, isomer, all these things you have been told. So all epimers of glucose, doesn't matter, everything is having free aldehyde group on the top. You see first position, it's anomeric carbon. So they will give positive result. So here you see, look at this thing. I have written glucose, sorbitol, fructose and mannitol. Glucose will give last page. Will this give positive result? Benedict test or not? Will this give Benedict test positive or not? Benedict test positive, হবে না, whether it will give a positive Benedict test or not. এই যে তুমি কাসমা ছোটো দাঁড়াও হ্যাঁ ইয়েস বলেছে আচ্ছা কে ইয়েস এর এগেইনস্ট আছে বলো দেখি হাত তোলো আচ্ছা 4টে ছিল তো আমরা এতক্ষণ ধরে বকলাম everything has gone into the west. I told you free aldehyde group. Just before that thing I showed the slide. Free aldehyde group. Nobody is hearing, listening. See, I have been repeating everything. I will not repeat in future classes everything. So I told you free aldehyde group or free ketone group is present, then it will give a positive result. Now you both of you are at the corner sitting and not listening properly. So you see here glucose is not, free aldehyde group is not there. On the top number 1 position. It will give or not? Bossa, তুমি বলো এই 2 নম্বরটা বলো তো just will it give positive result or not? Why? তুমি বলো দাঁড়াও তুমি হ্যাঁ ওটো এইটা বলো why? তুমি বলো ওটো ওই পাঁচটা ওই লাস্টটা বলো এখান থেকে বলো হ্যাঁ no or yes no why নাই তো ঠিক বুঝতে পেরেছ is this part clear? That's why deliberately I have written it. Now here you see erythrose, erythrulose. তুমি বলো এইটা দেবে না will it give positive result or not? দেবে না দেখতে পাচ্ছ তুমি বলো এইটা দেবে না হ্যাঁ কি দেবে ভাই পাঁচটা দেবে না এটা দেবে হয়ে যায় ক্লিয়ার হয়ে যায় এইগুলো তুমি yes a Benedict test will be positive or negative ঠিক করে বলো কি করে দেখে জানো হয় হ্যাঁ এইটা গ্লুকোনিক অ্যাসিড আর গ্লুকুরোনিক অ্যাসিড তুমি বলো ওটা কোনটা দেবে না হ্যাঁ এদিকে এসো ব্যাগটা রাখো এক্সপ্লেন করো এটা কি করবে? এদিকে তাকাও, ক্যামেরার দিকে তাকাও, এদিকে তাকাও, বলো গ্লুকোনিক অ্যাসিডটা দেবে না দেবে না? গ্লুকোজ পজিটিভ টেস্ট, পজিটিভ না নেগেটিভ? জোরে বলো। দেবে না? গ্লুকোজ দেবে না দেবে না? ইয়েস অর নো? পজিটিভ আর নেগেটিভ? হ্যাঁ, এটা নেগেটিভ না পজিটিভ সেটা জানতে চাইছি। হ্যাঁ, এত আসতে বলতে মানে বলো আর জোরে বলো। আচ্ছা, কাছাকাছি। এত এরকম করে বললে পেশেন্ট শুনতে পাবে না। So this will give you or not give? ও কানে কানে বলেছে আমাকে। Will it give or not? No. This one? So glucuronic acid will be giving positive, and at the end of the slide I will show this thing also included. It will give a false positive result. So glucose can be now why maltose gives a positive result. You see the glucose, two, write down, glucose and glucose forms maltose. And when two monosaccharides are joined to each other, the bond is called glycosidic bond. And when two amino acids are joined together, that is called peptide bond. So if these two molecules are joined together, then maltose will be formed. And the joining occurs at 1,4 glycosidic linkage. This 1,4 glycosidic linkage. Deliberately for your understanding, I have written this structure. See here the number one position glucose is there, here number one position glucose is there. So number one glucose of this glucose and number 4 of this one will make a glycosidic bond. So this CHO group of one glucose will remain free. Is this part clear? So one aldehyde of one glucose will be involved in the glycosidic linkage, but other aldehyde will be free. So that's why maltose will give a positive result for Benedict test, because free aldehyde group is there. Is it part clear? Now lactose, again write down the composition, glucose plus galactose forms lactose. So again you see this is 1 and 4 position. One and 4 position, last one. Will this give positive result or negative result? Huh? Why? Because? Huh? How many? 2 or 1? Huh? Why not 2? Just tell me, why not 2? Just tell me. So why 1 is free? Why 1 is free? I am deliberately hammering because these are the questions that will be asked, and if you are clear, you will be able to answer properly. For you, a little bit difficult question will be ready. Once you raise your hand, some good questions will be there for you in the future. Why only 1? Because one aldehyde group is involved in the formation of glycosidic bond. That is the reason only 1 will be available. Out of 2, 1 is already involved here. You see here, already 1 is involved here. You see 1 is involved here. Number 1 position is involved. In the other, number 1 position is free. So 1 free aldehyde group will be there. So again, that is the reason why lactose will be a reducing sugar. So both lactose and maltose will be reducing sugar. Now coming to fructose. Fructose is formed again. This is the structure of glucose. This is the structure of fructose. বসো। Sit down. Corner. This one. No, তোমার সামনে যাও। বলো। Will this give a positive result or not? হ্যাঁ? দাও। আচ্ছা বসে বলো। Yes or no? Yes. It will give a very test positive yes. Who are in favor of yes? Who are in favor of yes? Raise your hand. So no class, nobody is trying to support you. Can you explain? You? No, তোমাকে না, পাশেরটা। Why? No free aldehyde? হ্যাঁ? আস্তে জোরে বলো। Just speak loudly so that others can hear. I am speaking loudly. There is no free aldehyde. What about ketone group? Ketone group will be free. Ketone group is also not free. So 1 and 2 glycosidic bond is there. So in one position aldehyde is there. In 2 position ketone is there. So both gets involved in glycosidic bond, and that is the reason why sucrose is non-reducing sugar. Can you explain it now clearly? Write it in your own ways. The number 1 position of glucose containing aldehyde and number 2 position of fructose containing CO group is involved. Both are involved in glycosidic bond. These 2 bonds are involved. That is the reason there is no free aldehyde or free ketone group. Hence, Benedict test will be negative. There is no reducing group. There is no free aldehyde. No. I think by this time you have understood. So glucose doesn't exist in that form. In the solution, it is furanose or furanose form that you have given in the book. And this is a complicated structure that is for understanding purpose. That's why I have written very simply so that you understand well. Is there any confusion why sucrose is non-reducing? Understood clearly? তুমি বুঝতে পারছো? নাহলে বলো, আমাকে বলো। আরে there is no, you should not feel shy at all. I'll tell once again, I'll tell 100 times in the class. But in the examination hall, if you cannot say, then I will get irritated and simply give a 0 marks if I am the examiner. Anybody not understood, please raise your hand. Yes. I am very much happy to explain it. বলো তোমরা এখানে সামনে এসো তো, বলো তো কি অসুবিধা হচ্ছে, এদিকে এসো, এগিয়ে এসো। This is a small group discussion. This is what I want. She has expressed all the তুমি আরেকদিন এসো, কে বুঝতে পারছো বলো, এসো সামনে এসো, সামনে এসো, তাহলে বলো আমি বুঝিয়ে দিচ্ছি ব্যাপার। তুমি বুঝতে পারো না? কে বুঝতে পারেনি বলো। Who else? Don't feel shy. বলো কি বুঝতে পারো বলো।
বেনেডিক্ট রিয়েজেন্টের সাথে যখন রিঅ্যাকশনটা হবে তখন স্ট্রেট চেইন ওপেন স্ট্রাকচার থাকবে না,
স্ট্রাকচার তো এরকম এসবই থাকবে, সলিউশনের মধ্যে এরকম থাকবে। আমি জাস্ট বোঝানোর জন্য এরকম বোঝালাম। তোমার ফ্রি আর লেট করে এইভাবে যদি বোঝাই আমি, তাহলে বুঝতে পারবো না। দেখো স্ট্রাকচারটা বুঝতে পারবো না, ভালো তাকিয়ে দেখো।
তাহলে
এখানে পারবে ফ্রি অ্যালডিহাইড, এই কিটোন গ্রুপ তো থাকবে, এটা থাকবে না, দুটো এনগেজ হয়ে আছে 1 2 বন্ড হিসেবে এরকম থাকে জিনিসটা। আর এরকমও থাকে না, যেরকম স্ট্রাকচার তুমি দেখছো, কার্বনটা যত সুন্দরভাবে দেখছো সলিউশনে এইভাবে থাকবে না। এটা একদম বোঝানোর জন্য, কেমিস্ট্রি যে স্ট্রাকচার সেগুলো এরকম ফর্মে থাকে না, এগুলো বোঝার জন্য। আটমগুলোকে ওইভাবে সাজানো থাকে নাকি, এত সুন্দরভাবে এই নাম্বার দেওয়া লেখা থাকে, তা থাকে না। আর কিছু বলো, আর কিছু বুঝতে পারলে বলো। ফিল ফ্রি। বেনেডিক্ট এজেন্ট এইগুলোর সাথে রিঅ্যাক্ট করবে, এইটার সাথে গ্রুপটার সাথে রিঅ্যাক্ট করার জায়গা পাবে না।
হ্যাঁ, ওখানে ডবল বন্ড আছে,
এখানে পারবে না। দেখো এখানটা পারবে, দেখবে আগেটা, এইটাতে একটা গ্রুপ ফ্রি আছে, এই গ্রুপটা ফ্রি থাকবে। এই দেখো এইখানে একটা গ্রুপ ইনভলভ হয়ে আছে, ফোরটা এইখানে ওয়ান পজিশনটা ফ্রি আছে। এখানে সিটা আছে না, সি এই যে আছে, এখানে ফ্রি করবে। যাও ওই ডিপস্টিক, যেটা আমি বললাম যে ভেরি সিম্পল প্রসিডিওর। সো অনলি ফর glucose protein, there is one strip. What you take urine in a glass tube like this, test tube, and put the strip, just like strip is like this. So put the strip here, take it out, and observe after 1 minute what is the change of color. And the change of color is also written there. What will be the change of color with approximate amount also. So it is readily available thing. So many times what happens, the patient is given that strip, he is asked to hold the strip like this, pass directly urine on it and bring it to the laboratory. So that there is no requirement of giving this strip, test tube. Because this is again washing will be a big issue, or you have to discard it. So better ask to go to the toilet and bring it. By the time 1 minute time will be there, you will note down the time. In multi-parameter impregnated strip are also there. So many constituents, chemical constituents are present in the urine. So simply you put the strip into this thing and take it out. So whatever parameters are positive, that will come out as a positive. So that I will try to get one thing from central level and show it to you. So again, the approximate concentration is here. Here it is written that you have seen. Depending on the company's product, they will write down. See, one is trace, one is 250, 500, 3 plus. 3 plus is written. It is approximation. So that company will get a rough idea that what is the color. Somebody at the initial stage might be having this type of presentation. Now after controlling the diabetes, again if you recheck the urine, if the blood sugar comes down, the patient will note down. This is a very helpful thing for the patient. He or she can monitor at home. Because when the blood glucose level will be high, sugar will also be high. And he himself will know that the blood sugar level is high. So it's very useful for home monitoring also. And in the private clinic also, rapid determination. So these lactose will give a positive test or negative test? Sure. Sucrose? Negative. You see the packet is sealed from lactose, a small amount from sucrose from that thing. And I will bring some amount of sugar from my room. And you will test yourself that this also gives positive result, this doesn't give. And the sugar which I will bring, this might give at times positive result. Why? Because it is extra pure. The 500 grams cost nearly 450 rupees. And 500 grams of ordinary sugar costs about 24 rupees. So this is extra pure reagent. And that is for laboratory. So I will collect it on the first day itself, put it in the packet, because every time opening this thing is not desirable. This is actual for patient's use. So that's why I don't want to open repeatedly. That will to prevent moisturizer to enter into it. Okay. In the first day I will take it, and on the actual day of examination, that is on the next. This is in coming Friday. You will do the test. Someone will do the test. That urine sample. That test you will do. Also, one demonstration will be given with this thing. And anybody is having dates, khejur, anybody, yes, bring only one. I will tell you at the end of the class how will you bring it. Any sweet fruit anybody is having? Which? Yes, fine. Bring it. Any this watermelon. Only you take the entire amount, whatever you want, only bring a small amount. Just for testing purposes, that whether it is giving reducing sugar or not. Purpose is that thing, nothing more than that. So this write down this thing completely. So one question is asked, why Benedict test is not diagnostic of diabetes mellitus or glucosuria? Because this Benedict test might be giving false positive result. False positive. What? So Benedict test is not a specific test. Why? Because if false positive reaction will be there in the Benedict test. Because glucose will give. Basic purpose of detection is glucose. Now non-glucose sugar will also give positive result. That means all monosaccharides, be it pentose, be it tetrose, be it heptose, be it other hexoses, that will give positive result. So non-glucose sugar, all reducing agents will act as monosaccharides, disaccharides, isn't it? Vitamin C, I'll bring. I'll bring. This is a medication. Vitamin C, we all take at times or other. If somebody takes vitamin C on the preceding night and next day morning, if he gives the sample, then the urine sugar might be positive. The vitamin C is a very, very strong reducing substance. So I'll bring you one vitamin C tablet, dissolve it, and demonstrate it to you. So note down all these things: homogenesic acid, urate, creatinine, glucuronic acid. I told you, glucuronic acid positive, lactic acid, drugs, salicylate, penicillin, INH. If this comes at least in one breath, you tell all these things. So that he has read completely, thoroughly. But remember, glucose is having a concentration of 100 milligrams. So only if the glucose is present in less than 50 milligrams, less than 100 milligrams, that is 50 milligrams or 75 milligrams, it will not give a positive result. Because you see, if I take this water, this piece of paper and put it in a weighing machine, common, will it show any weight? No. Because if I put it in a gold weighing machine, will it give weight or not? Gold weighing machine, it will give. If I give in a chemical balance, it will show result because it is having weight. There is sensitivity of the test. Benedict test is sensitive up to 100 milligrams, more than 100 milligrams. So less than that, it will not be able to detect. Similarly, in the urine, creatinine is present. Uric acid is also present. But reducing substances equivalent to concentration of more than 1 to 1.5 grams per glucose child, reducing equivalent, if that high amount is present, then only it will be positive. Just mere presence will not give positive. Similarly, mere presence of glucose will not give positive. At least more than 100 milligram per deciliter is required. Similarly, again here it is 1 to 1.5 grams per liter means again 100 milligram per deciliter. So that's a high amount. Otherwise, it will not give positive. This part you remember. You may not write this thing, but remember this thing, this must be in high amount. Then only it will be positive. Now, whether there are many substances, see this vitamin C I am having, I will bring it to one tablet. And this molasses I have collected also from the canteen. I will dissolve it in small amount of water. And if the reducing sugar is present, that will be, again you can see, it might give positive result, it might give a negative result also. Whether everything is sucrose, then you will not get a positive result. So this part you try to remember, only write down the name. This is very specific. Just say glucose, lactose, galactose, pentose, fructose. They are all reducing sugars. But whether it is a pentose or whether it is a galactose, you will not be able to know from Benedict test. For that, this specific test is called phenyl hydrogen test. That is done. Here, phenyl hydrogen with that solution containing unknown reducing substance is heated for 30 minutes. This we have done during our MBBS class. And we had to boil it, and then we had to see it under microscope. So write down glucosuria, the name of the disease. It is usually called diabetes. The glucose dipstick is the commonly used method that I have shown it to you. Now write down the phenyl hydrogen test. It gives needle-shaped or broom-like structure. Only write down whatever written in red. Lactosuria, it is lactation or pregnancy third trimester. Methylamine test, it gives appearance of hedgehog, phenocushion with pins or flower of touch me not type of plant. This type of presentation. Galactosuria, what is the cause of galactosuria? A commonly asked question as MCQ. Galactasemia will cause galactosuria. If galactose level in the blood is high, then that galactose will come out in the urine as an abnormal constituent. So that is due to galactose 1-phosphate urine transferase. This will be an MCQ question till your next PG, NEET PG also. So by the time many things of first year you will forget. And these first year questions will also be set in NEET PG. So don't think that these questions, whatever you will read in anatomy also, embryology, osteology, 1 or 2 questions will be there. 5 marks will be dedicated for anatomy, 5 marks for biochemistry, 5 marks for physiology, like that. So these things I have written not only for your first MBBS, but exactly for your next PG. So pentosuria, galactosuria, mucic acid test. Pentosuria, Biles test, and it gives a blue green. It is due to deficiency. Write down this. This is most important. You have to remember. What is the cause of pentosuria? Xylitol dehydrogenase deficiency or xylitol reductase deficiency. You have to remember. It will be told during your pentose metabolism class also, fructose metabolism also, fructosuria, aldol B or fructokinase. And the test name is Celio-1 test.